wondering what caused the cancer. But what caused it? My patient asked, referring to the failure of her bone marrow to make the blood cells the rest of her organs craved. She was profoundly anemic and seemed to tire from even asking the question. Dozens of my patients have asked the same thing. Even a dozen. I think the question reflects a human desire to revisit events that occurred over a lifetime, and speculate whether a change in course could have avoided an untoward outcome. In truth, though, except in very rare cases, it is almost impossible to say that a specific environmental exposure triggered a given person's cancer. The majority of cancers arise randomly, as if thumbing their nose at our collective need to find a cause. But that doesn't stop me from trying, during the part of the clinic visit when it's my turn to ask the questions. And sometimes, I even convince myself that I have uncovered that nugget of truth that explains disease. One patient, a man in his 70s, told me he served in the military. Which branch? I inquired. Navy, he said proudly. Did you see any action? I asked. He glanced at his wife briefly, as if checking in with her that it was all right to tell this story she had probably heard hundreds of times before. She nodded slightly, giving her permission. I was on one of the ships that was active during the Cuban Missile Crisis, he said. Wow. I said, incredulous. What was that like? Hot, he answered, laughing. And humid. It was like a living hell. I shook my head in disbelief, not saying anything, encouraging him to go on. Yeah, in fact, the only way my buddy and I could escape the heat was at night. Instead of lying in our bunks, we put a mattress on the ground in the hull, in between these two metal cases. The metal was cool at night. They kept the nuclear weapons in those cases. A nuclear arsenal a foot from his bone marrow. Perhaps, more than 50 years ago, that was the culprit. Though I'll never really know for sure. Another patient, a few years ago, told me she used to live in Nevada. Any exposures to chemicals or radiation you're aware of? I asked her, as I ask all of my patients. Not that I can think of, she answered, and then chewed on her lip as she thought about it. I stayed quiet.